It is the fate of some countries to have experienced the slaughter and the murder at the hands of one of those 4 mass murderers, but for Poland to experience mass murder at the hands of 2 of those mass murderers was not a common experience, and very few other countries. There were some in Central Europe, Czechoslovakia is an example. Poland's experience was extraordinary and one which must never be forgotten. It's very easy for politicians to say it must never happen again, never again. But never again has happened all over again and continues to happen. The events in Iraq and Syria today are the same atrocities that have been inflicted on innocent, ordinary people in ages past, but it should be happening in the 21st century. That there should be maybe as many as 300,000 people in North Korea in gulags. When you think back to the experiences of Siberia, and you think back to what we would have hoped were the lessons of history, when you think about Auschwitz or Dachau or Bergen-Belsen, that this could be happening again in our own lifetimes without people willing to speak up or to do very much about it, I think is appalling, which is why history is a great teacher, but we must not say never again if we're going to allow it to happen all over again. And I'm really thrilled to see that that is what's happening here at this extraordinary centre that I think will open the eyes of people who vaguely know the story of the uprising, but who are not aware of the massive numbers of people who were murdered. So they may know the story of the ghetto, they may know something about the Holocaust, but often there are silos within the story that have been inaccessible, usually for linguistic reasons. And I think it's a really exciting project to make it more accessible to an English-speaking audience. Breaking the information blockade is the key. In a country like North Korea, they put up barriers around the country so people won't know what is happening inside it. And in a way, even though these are historic events, there's been an information blockade as well. And I think what you're doing is breaking the information blockade, disseminating information so as to give people a more objective understanding of the reality of the events that occurred. But why would you want to know about those events? It is to avoid making the same mistakes in our own generation. Well, I think education is always key to these things, and you have to educate at different levels. Obviously for scholars and academics who are working on their PhDs or on their master's programs, looking at these events in some detail and scrutinizing them, this will be an extraordinary resource that they'll be able to draw down on. And using the methods now available through social communications via the internet, and I think that in itself is hugely important. I think is create more teaching materials, making it easier for teachers to be able to tell stories. Children respond to stories, to individual examples, giving them just facts and figures and statistics. I mean, it was Stalin who famously dismissed millions and said, people don't understand millions, but they do understand one. And I think that we need to understand that as well, that just giving statistics is not enough. We have to give the stories that animate people. Modern novels are a way of doing this as well. One novel that's been published in Britain about the First World War is aimed at children. It's called War Horse, and it tells the stories of the atrocities committed against animals. A million horses slaughtered in the First World War. But it's through that story that you learn about what happened to human beings as well. So capturing imaginations, finding different ways to tell the old stories is hugely important.